So I watched a couple of videos. Well, listened to a couple of videos. One of them was this guy Jack. I really like one of my I like him. But he does like reaction videos. He's like a cool guy. I can like really relate to him on a lot of different levels. And he is a independent thinker. You know, he thinks for himself. And he was basically reacting to this video of this guy talking about how everything's different now. Everybody's different. And when you look at old videos of people seem like they're more happy, here's the thing. I lived back then, okay? Not everyone was walking around with a smile on their face like constantly all the time. They really weren't. When you know you're being recorded, especially back then because it really didn't happen that often, you want it to look like you're happy. So that does contribute to it as well. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say things haven't changed socially. Things have changed socially dramatically. Back then, people were more friendly. They were more open. They were less skeptical of other people. So you would walk past a stranger, not necessarily me, because like I really relate to Gen Z with the isolation and all of that. I feel like I'm ahead of my time in that aspect anyway. But generally speaking, you know, people were a lot more social. And I mean, it's still, when you have a concentrated group of people that are all strangers, nobody's really sitting here like, hey, like stopping it. Like, people still wear somewhat similar, but it's way worse now. I mean, there's a lot of different factors, economics, and there's a lot of, it feels like there really isn't communities. There is communities outside of social media or the digital realm, but it just doesn't feel like you can connect as easy. And why people can't connect as easy is because like there's no room for boredom. When we get bored, even in social situations, you know, when I see somebody, when I'm talking and they're sitting there on their phone, I just kind of like shut down. I stop talking because I feel like it's disrespectful. I can multitask too. You know, one of the ways I learn is I'm sitting here playing my video game on easy mode because life is hard enough for me as it is. I don't need to sit here and challenge myself on video games when I'm already playing expert level on real life. I listen to I mute it, I turn it down, and then I listen to podcasts, YouTube. I've done this for I don't know, over 10 years now. I just kind of picked it up. Didn't even know, like, wow, this is a good way for me to learn. Kind of, it helps with my ADHD. Distracts my mind on something like kind of repetitive, and I can learn. Maybe I'm not getting all the information, but I'm getting a general understanding of stuff. Like I pick up stuff. It's better than not knowing. You know, it's like, at least I got a little bit. Well, and I've said this before. When I was growing up, we had a lot of time, a lot of free time. You know, we could watch TV, stuff like that. There was movies, and I think that if you think about it, I'm sure the older people, when TV first came out, I'm sure like when they went from the radio to the TV, they were kind of like, this is kind of like a dopamine rush or whatever like that. Like you could just turn on the TV. There wasn't as many channels when it first came out, but you know, it just kind of, it kind of, it affected your dopamine rush, I'm sure, in that generation. And you could probably say the same about radio when that came out as well. You know, people really lived slow lives, boring lives. They worked a lot. They probably read or conversated, told stories, like they told stories. But nowadays, I've noticed that the dopamine rush is on steroids. Yeah, I feel like my life growing up, I can relate to Gen Z in a lot of different levels, and like I played video games, but the thing is, I kind of balance things where I would go outside and be in my body. I don't think that we're really in our bodies when we're just consuming and not really moving around, just kind of sitting here, sedentary lifestyle. We're mostly in our brains. But I think that that's what people need is a balance of getting out in the real world and kind of being a little bit bored. And that's where a lot of creativity came from as well. I made music. I play guitar. A lot of ideas came from boredom. So I think that, and this is what I kind of suspected would happen with the writing and music, and I didn't know it would really, I didn't think of movies as well, but people they don't have time for boredom. They don't really have to work for dopamine rushes anymore. So their writing kind of lacks. They don't have to be bored. They can just like just zone out, you know, just go ahead and doom scroll or whatever. Or just play the video game for endless hours. I think like when I was younger, besides the nerds, I mean, I felt like that I was kind of a nerd, not to the degree that they were. Watch, you know, look at some old movies from the 80s, like The Pocket Protectors. These guys like were always reading, they're playing chess, they didn't really do anything physical. So, and I see a lot of that today, where a lot of people are just basically nerds. They don't have a lot of real world experience. A lot of people don't. Like, I just seen a video yesterday of there's protests. These ICE people are protesting. There's this guy that was obviously opposing them, waving the American flag because these people are anti-American. And he had like this one of these protesters had a bullhorn in his ear, like basically it's like trying to blow out his eardrums. And eventually the guy just had enough and just wham, like got violent with them, like get away from, like he tried to get away from me, he wouldn't leave him alone. He just, all right, and then they all started trying to attack, and he held himself pretty well. And the same guy that had the bullhorn like in his ear, he just like he threw down his little umbrella and just nonchalantly walked up to him like he was Neo from the Matrix or something like that, or the other Keanu Reeves movie, or like he's this bad, and just like also boom, and he just like got knocked out cold. A lot of people think that this is a video game. Reality can be, you can translate movies and video games to real world, and when you actually try to and you find out that it's not as easy as you think. Okay, it's almost like you've been letting the AI control your body by just being in a sedentary lifestyle. And now you're trying to go into the real world, and you don't understand that, like, you see something and it looks cool on TV or the movies, and you think like, oh, I can do that. And then you try it and you're like, here's the thing. And I've been having a discussion with Grok about this. I like to have I have a lot of discussions and deep conversations with Grok. But I was like, we're kind of like robots, man. Like we can like zone out and be in their subconscious mind, and kind of, as long as we're doing the same thing over and over, we can we get used to it, and we don't even really have to think about it anymore. You do the dishes every day. You really don't have to think about it. You're just like, duh, 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 and you're thinking about other things. You're driving to work, and you could take the same path. You don't really sit here and think about it, as opposed to the first time you drove to your job. You didn't know where it was, and you're trying to not miss the turn. You're like being really, really aware. You're not really thinking of anything else, but you're focusing. Not saying you don't focus on the road when you're driving, but you can kind of think about other things and use your subconscious mind, where you let the car in front of you. This is what I do. I leave a huge distance in front of me, so I'm paying attention. I have really good peripheral vision. However, I can think about other things. People say I drive like a grandpa. Yeah, I drive like a grandpa because I don't like to drive. I hate driving. You know how I want to drive? How I do on Grand Theft Auto. I want to go in and out, and like, here's the thing. I try to do that in reality, and it's completely different than the video game. But like, I find driving boring. I just find it boring. What I do, like, seriously, if you guys have a problem with this, what it is like, you need to get off of the technology and balance your life out a little bit. That's all you really need to do. And you probably need some type of like detox, technology detox, or dopamine detox, where you take a couple days off of it, honestly. And can you do that? Like, just sit here, and then maybe like you're drawing or read. Like, I used to sit here, and I used to be really creative. And I'm sitting here making a memoir, right? And I'm thinking about my memories and stuff like that. And from 18 to like 19, I was smoking weed and stuff like that, but I would just listen to music, draw, write poems. This is what I did with my time. And I just think that, like, people have too much dopamine. I think that our brains have been rewired, honestly, because we're addicted. We're dopamine addicts. That's what we basically are. We're dopamine addicts. We're always chasing for the likes. You post something, and you think, like, and if you do get any notifications, like, you see the little notification thing, it feels good. For the emails, just depend on what kind of email. I mean, if you're getting an email saying that your package delivered, you're like, yes. Kind of like a Christmas Story, where that kid was waiting for his little decoder ring thing in the mail. That was such a huge, like, the wait, the anticipation. There's no wait, and then it finally comes, and it's kind of like, well, he was let down in that, but the anticipation there's no anticipation of the dopamine rush. You know what I mean? And it's something that we kind of worked for. We don't have to work for it anymore. And I'm sure, like, in the generations before me, they had to work even harder just to get a just to even get a candy, like, in the Depression times. It's such a, like, I was watching some, like, Nazi videos of, like, when they were battling Stalingrad. People, like, they smoke a cigarette, or the one with Robin Williams, the Liar, the Jacob, or whatever, where they're sharing a cigarette, and just that one puff was a dopamine, because they had nothing. But we have dopamine just constantly given to us. Boom, 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 boom. Fast food. Boom, boom, boom. Like, if that's what people do. Obviously, like, fast food was huge. Kind of seems like it's dying down a little bit right now. But, that's what is essentially going on, is we don't have to work for our dopamine rushes anymore. And I think that a lot of people who have, like me, I'm going to be honest, I was trying to chase clout. the reason I was trying to chase clout because I thought it would give me an opportunity for other things. And obviously, like, I want to be remembered. I want to be a main character as well. I want to be looked up to and I want that status. I mean, for me, like, I just want to be respected. I mean, honestly, that's what I want to be, is respected. If you want to know what it's like dealing with me in person, all you have to do is just look up, because I'm really similar in this aspect with Kurt Cobain, where I'm always in my head, and I can, if something really interests me at the top of the conversation, I can be like really engaged, but all of a sudden I can just like pull back for no reason. I'm like a cat, dude. That's kind of like how I am. I don't know where I'm going with that. The narcissism. I did actually ask AI if I was a narcissist, and he said no, no, because you actually do care about other people and have compassion for other people. And I do want to help other people. It's just like I don't want to help other people if it's just going to kind of be worthless and pointless. You know what I mean? If they're just not going to appreciate it or build upon it. Why would I continue to why would I sacrifice when somebody's just like going to take what I did for them for granted? You know, that's kind of like I'm a very empathetic, and I know it's surprising, I'm an empathetic person, but I am. And what's happened, honestly, is the money has contributed a lot. Like, I'm dead serious when I say I basically can just go to work and come home and that's it. I really can't afford to do anything else. I don't really desire to go to movies. I used to like to go to the movies all the time when I was a kid. I don't really care about going to the movies. And yeah, but it's just like, I can't go to a game. I can't afford, you know what I mean? It's just, they're talking about how things were slower, and then what happened was people had to interact with people. That's how people did it back then. Me, I mean, I'm an introvert. Always been an introvert. I think it was the environment that I was raised in, that caused that, and I can slightly make it a little bit better, but at the end of the day, I'm just gonna pretty much be an introvert for the rest of my life. I can be a little bit more social, but I'm never gonna be that like social butterfly, talk about anything, you know, because this made me wake up a lot to basically what I was talking about, that Kurt Cobain analogy. And if anyone can else relate to this, is when people seem like, for me, they expect something out of me. Like they expect, and then when I actually talk, people are kind of let down. Either it's like really in depth, like an in-depth subject, or I'm saying something that I'm looking ahead in time and they can't see it themselves. But they expect kind of me to perform, me to like do a banter or be different than I actually am. But in that moment, I'm not, because I don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. And a lot of things I just don't really care about talking, just kind of like obvious things. I mean, people talk about what they ate. Dude, it's fucking food to me, you know. It's not really a big deal. If I talk about the weather, it's like what is coming. I don't talk about like, oh man, the sun is so shining today, it's such a nice, it's like, yeah, it's a nice day, obviously, I can see that. I want to see if it's gonna rain tomorrow, you know, and I'm looking ahead. But I think I think that I've always been like that, where I always like look ahead. And I think a lot of people feel like that's how they were living, where it kind of gave them hope. or anticipation, like things are getting better. Oh, this is gonna be cool. This album's coming out, or this movie's coming out. I can't wait. This video game's coming out. And then like nowadays, so MLB The Show is probably gonna be coming out with the game in about a month or two. WWE is the same thing, and it's kind of like, what? How is this game? Why am I paying full price for this when it's basically the same thing that I had last year? Why would I buy a new game? What has changed? Nothing. Same for the movies. Spider-Man 15 comes out, like another Marvel movie that's a spin. It's like, dude, man, can't you guys think of something else? But people just kind of like, I have to do this or something. I have to get the newest version. And it's like, I think that's why people are kind of feeling nostalgia, and because of our culture is dying, creativity is dying. There's not a lot of creative people. There's a lot of followers. We have a lot of followers. We have a lot of people who can't think for themselves, for sure. And it's really weird to see the younger generation, even like, I don't like to talk about my kids because I don't want to talk about their private lives or anything like that, or anyone in my own personal. That's why I don't talk about these. But I was watching a YouTube video of the other day, and this guy was talking, or maybe it was a simulation thing. I was watching this on Hulu or whatever, not Hulu, Tubi. Yeah, I'm poor. I'm cheap. He basically said that him and his daughter were playing in Minecraft World that she built. I don't know. She was only 14 when they. Basically, she was 14 going through nostalgia, and I'm like, man, when I was 14, there's no way I was thinking about nostalgia. I was all into, like, there was so much interesting, and it's just like the culture is just not interesting, and I think that's why a lot of people are just like flowing into politics so much, becoming like ultra tribalistic. Is like, there really isn't anything that's that exciting. It's all the same shit over and over again. You go onto Facebook, your news feed or whatever, and all you see is people like paying to be in your news feed. You see like these women that like OnlyFans women that have to show everything. You see all these women is just like showing everything. It's quite frankly, it's annoying, and I really just kind of, maybe the reason why they keep showing up is because I talk crap to them. But the latest thing was the Minnesota thing. It's just like I go on there. The reason that Facebook was cool because I wanted to see what my friends were up to, my friends and family. I don't care about these people. I don't care about these random people, and they show up, and it's just like everything feels like crap. It really does. It feels like crap. Even like, so the dating. Plenty of Fish was awesome. I like did so well dating in Plenty of Fish, but it seems like these dating sites, unless you pay for them now, especially like Facebook dating. I talked to this with Grok. The reason why they don't want to show you anyone in your area, probably because a lot of people have been complaining about this, and I started like, I first got into Facebook dating probably like 2018 or something like that, when I was like, oh, this is cool. Finally, look at this database of a lot of people. They want you to keep scrolling. They want you to keep on their stuff, so they don't want you to develop relationships. When you get into relationships and it's a genuine relationship, you kind of stop caring about all that other stuff. And it kind of feels impossible to have a relationship nowadays. And that's what they were saying on that video with Jack, is like, the guy was saying, it feels like it's impossible is because everybody is just in the digital realm, and then you're competing with all these other guys, and like it's almost impossible. And the same with the girls, man. When I have probably close, if not 100 and I'm not bragging, I'm just saying, like, that was for a reason. And I'm not the best looking man. I think the best I've ever probably looked was like a 7.5. That's about it. Now I'm like a 6, and it's just like, but the thing is if you go on social media and you see a woman post something and you look into the comments, all you see is these guys, like it's the same thing. What's gonna happen is a lot of these boomers are gonna pass on. Man, things are about to change dramatically, economically, socially. I think that Gen Z is kind of just tired of always being on the internet. And it's like, dude, we're to the point with like Gen Z where it's like a lot of these people are just chronically online playing video games with their friends or whatever, that it's like, listen, just go out there and get a rate. It doesn't matter if you only work 20 hours a week. Just get the hell out of the house. It's good for you. It's good for you to be around other people. It's good for you to be around people in person as opposed to just like separate. And they're like, listen, when I was growing up, you know, we played video games sitting by each other. We had 2 controllers, 4 controllers, and we would sit here and play video games on the same screen. Well, everything, it seems like it's been intentionally separated. I can't buy a console and then we're just playing on the same console. No, like we have to basically get 2 TVs, 2 different consoles, and have to do that. Have 2 different Xbox Plus accounts. I'm not gonna pay $30 to play Xbox Online. I'm just not, dude. I'm not paying that a month. I think that's outrageous. I think that was a huge mistake. Long term, that's a huge mistake for Xbox. It should be for free, dude. If anything, if I'm storing stuff, I mean, the new games I have that I've downloaded, I can't even play them unless I have the internet. It's, you know, the trucks that they make, they make them like, these are trucks that are designed, like trucks are designed to do work, to get tore up, to haul, to throw stuff on. Well, what do people do with them nowadays? They jack them up, they make them look pretty. It's like, you have a off-road looking truck, but it has like little rims on it, but it's jacked up. It looks ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's all about show, and there's nothing like, it's just like, why doesn't it, hey, if I was like Ford or GM or something, I would definitely come out with a basic car that had like the safety features and everything like that. You know, you got like the power steering, of course, like that, but like you have the roll-up windows. So it's not as expensive, just a basic model. But everyone wants luxury nowadays. Everyone thinks that they deserve the best. They think that they're kings and queens. It's like, no, you're a peasant. I'm a peasant, you know. And listen, there's nothing wrong with like comfort, but it's just like, it's just kind of weird when you're sitting here converting your like work truck. They're making work trucks into Cadillacs. You know what I mean? And that's what they basically are. They're just Cadillacs that look like a truck. Yeah, they're powerful, but it's just like, I just spent $100,000 on this truck. I don't want to throw stuff in my truck and mess it up and dent it up. You know what I mean? And it's just like, it feels like we've been intentionally separated. That's what it feels like. I don't know. You know, another thing too is I believe in the Mandela effect. And the reason why I believe in the Mandela effect is because it wasn't just like one memory. It was a lot of memories. You know, it wasn't just the Berenstain Bears book, which is the Berenstain Bears book now. It was life is like a box of chocolates. Life was like Luke, I am your father. No, I am your father. You know, stuff like that. Like the cornucopia. I don't know what the fuck happened, but I do feel like I was born in a different dimension than I am now. And it could be the elites fucking with us. You know, they intentionally switch shit around to see if we would notice. You know, maybe it was a certain way, like the Publishers Clearinghouse. Why would I remember Publishers Clearinghouse from okay, maybe a commercial, but it was Ed McMahon with the little balloons. Apparently he was American Prestige or something that did that. He used to go up with the big check, I remember. But it things are not the same when I was growing up. And you can call me crazy if you want, but there's a lot of people, and here's the thing: is I've used the Mandela effect with people, and it's kind of been mixed. Some of them do remember some memories that are false, and others don't. But there is a big population of people who have false memories. I mean, that's I don't know what to say about that. That's kind of proof right there. I don't know if we're in a different dimension. I don't know if the world ended in 2012 and we're in some computer simulation. And this feels real. Like, it all feels real. Maybe I'm, like, living in a pod 3,000 years from now, and I'm just, like, doing a simulation. That could be very as well, too. I'm an open-minded dude. You know what I do know? I don't know everything. You know what I do know? I think that we don't know shit about the universe. It is quite possible that outside the solar system there is like a type of ice wall type of thing where it's what is it? That show with the Jim Carrey, the TV show, I forgot. Where his life was a TV show. I forgot the name of it, but he ended up like going outside of it, and then he lived his life in like this huge bubble from like a little kid. And he was too afraid to cross the water. His dad died, and he finally got the courage, and he found out there was just a door that would take him outside. It could be like that outside our universe, you know, at some point where it's just like there is. You know, where our universe seems big to us, but it's really, really tiny. You know what I mean? Like, dude, I think, like, this could be true. We don't really know. We don't even know what's in the depths of the ocean. Yeah, there's so much unknown. We don't really know what's underneath Antarctica. We think we know, but we really don't know 100% true. We have all these different religions. We have all these different distractions. And it's kind of like, dude, I'm just trying to survive this. I try to better myself. I try to be honest. I try to be genuine. I'm starting to actually feel comfortable in my own skin. When I was younger, I used being a chameleon as a defense mechanism, or just like trying to fit in. Maybe I'm an alien, you know. Maybe when I was in the basement when this is one of my early memories. All my toys were down there. It was before I was 3. It was in Alaska, right? So maybe when I looked up at the window, and I seen a couple Sesame Street characters that looked like they were in the costumes and everything. It looked like, I think one was definitely the Count, and I think the other one was probably Big Bird or something like that. That scared the hell out of me. Maybe I was swapped. since there's nothing else that really comes close to our intelligence, maybe an alien species came in and like implanted the subconscious and then the prefrontal cortex on our brain. You know, it's like, what the hell do I believe? I don't know. There's all these different types of things. I definitely believe in good and bad. I definitely believe in like there's good and positive energy. And I think that I think I am in baseline reality. I think I am. I definitely, like, when I go into the real world, or I see I suffer consequences if it's good or bad. But when you go into the, like, here's the thing, reality is extremely boring. And what people don't understand is the movies you watch, the TV shows you watch, they are just simulations. It could be a story somebody tells you. It could just be like what I'm doing right now. This could be like, it's kind of like a simulation. The stories part. Because like if okay, when I'm sitting here talking about when I'm like 18, 19, and I'm drawing and listening to music, I'm telling you a little bit at the time. I'm not telling you like I was puffing a cigarette or got up, had to go to the bathroom. Like, it was condensed. Everything's condensed. When you play video games and you're playing a character, do you sit here and have to sleep for 8 hours? No. Do you have to go to the bathroom? No. And like Sims, yeah, but most video games aren't like that. Because if video games were like just like real life, they would be really fucking boring. And it's like, why would I play this video game and it's so slow moving when I can just go live in real life? And you know what I mean? Like, it's a simulation of real life. That's what it is. And we need that. We need that stimulation. But I think that what's happened is culture is pretty much died. Mainstream, the mainstream has pretty much, it's all about making money. And you know, I was listening to Tim Pool. I was going to make this into two videos, but who gives a shit? Nobody's going to watch this anyway. I don't care. Anyway, so, and listen, the people who actually watch my content, I see you in the comments. You're not a nobody, okay? So I'm not trying to say that you're not. I'm just saying, you know, like when you make content, you want to get a lot of people. So like, that's why I say that. I'm not saying you're not a nobody. I appreciate you like all these years. It's cool to see you guys watch my content and interact and take the time to make a comment. That's really cool. And I try to respond, especially to people that I see, that I notice who throughout the years I see the same screen names. I'm like, yeah, it's just, we're always trying to chase a dopamine rush, and it's just, I think that a lot of people, especially in this sphere, who have been relying on money, who've been relying this to be their job, are seeing things collapse. You know, they were saying that people are kind of getting tired of like the constant like scrolling, and it's not about the person, it's about the topic. It's kind of like, okay, you find a topic, and this is what I do myself. This is what I don't like, honestly. I can get into the whole like just flipping, watch the next 30-second video, just, you know, on TikTok. But I don't do that all the time. Like, I literally drive an hour to work, and I don't I usually just sit in silence and I sit here and think. And I think that's what a lot of people just don't really do. They don't really think anymore. They don't really sit down and think. They're always being stimulated. You see people with the earbuds, they're always listening to music. They're always like, or a podcast, or or maybe even just talking to somebody else, but they really don't sit down and just kind of like think about things a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think that's what's happening. And Tim Pool was talking about like the boomers about to pass away and the housing prices and everything's going to collapse. And it's kind of like, okay, maybe that needs to happen. You know, the prices are really, really high, you know. Oh, wait, you're telling me that house prices are about to drop? Is that a bad thing? You know, these same people are sitting here complaining about the population. No one's having kids. Well, yeah, because like no one can afford a house. Nobody can afford to date. The standards of like what women expect in men is unrealistic. It's completely unrealistic. And the fact that a lot of these women aren't even what they desire themselves. Like they're not even close. They want something that they basically want me to go ahead and create a palace all on my own, and then they just want to come in and just be like the wife on Scarface that just lay around all day and by the pool and just do drugs, I guess, and that's it. That's their life. They don't contribute. They don't help build. They don't cheerlead. They don't do shit. There's no like, I'm gonna go ahead and be with you through the thick and thin anymore. I genuinely love you. Yeah, I can see times are kind of getting hard. Well, I better help out. I better help out. No, it's like, okay, I'll just find somebody else. And this goes both ways. And I think guys are the ones back in 70s, 60s, 80s, the ones that they used to replace their families. It wasn't the women divorcing, it was the men. And that's why I kind of like have a problem with the manosphere, because it's like, you completely don't say anything like that. You don't say why the laws are the way they are. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be changed now because things are different, but why were they put there to begin with? Because of men doing this shit. You know? So, who created the hookup culture? And I participated. It was guys. Now look what happened. So, you know, it's such a weird time we're in, and confusing. What's going to happen, I think, if we do have some type of collapse, you're just going to see some of these places kind of end up being like some of these big cities. They won't be able to sustain themselves anymore. They'll end up being ghost cities. Kind of like you go to a Midwest town where it used to have a factory and it's all like depressed, like it used to be thriving, now it's all run down, people seem poor, but it was thriving at one point. Like Detroit was the pinnacle. Now look at it. What's going to happen is you will see infrastructure collapse, and it will just be easier for people to move somewhere else, consolidate somewhere else. That's what's going to happen. Not every city is going to collapse, but like if we're going to have a population decline, and then we continue to like not have immigration and stuff like that, we're going to have less people, and some say that's a good thing. The whole thing is, you know, there was a baby boom before, and it can happen again if the environment if the environment dictates it. You know, why people are not having kids is because the environment is trash. You know, listen, man, if you want to know what's happening right now, what we're feeling right now, all you have to do is just go like just go study Germany in the 1920s. Please go study that, because it really rhymes with whatever we're going through right now. You know, and it really is. Just go look at it, and you're going to be like amazed when you actually go and like, wow, that's what happened? Holy cow. It's not as harsh, but it's, like I said, it rhymes with what we're going through right now. They had a population decline, and how the Nazis wanted to create more people. Well, they gave them more incentives to have kids. I'm not like, listen, here's the thing, like, oh, the Nazis, like, listen, if you think that everything that they did was horrible, or you think that everything that the communists did was horrible, you can't take anything good of what they did, I don't know what to tell you, okay? Like, something, we can pick and see what will work, okay? And not be like, oh, you're a Nazi, or you're a communist. It's just like, dude, not everything that they did was great, and we don't want to be fully this or fully that. But, like, yeah, I mean, yeah, incentivizing people to have kids, yeah. Like, yeah, are the wealthy people investing back in our country and our infrastructure? No. Well, if you're not going to willingly do that, then, like, we're going to have to take it from you and then do it ourselves. I don't know what to tell you. You're not going to, okay. I'm about to cut this video off soon, but when I moved back to Michigan a few years ago, in like 2023, I drove up to a speaker at Checkers, and it was AI. Oh man, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great. I could be like, blah, 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 and it got my order right. It got my order right every time. I didn't have to sit here and say thank you, or it's just not. No, it was like, I ask them, like, hey, this, and this, and then I'll have it repeat it to me. No, take this off. Okay, this. And then, like, just go on my way. This is a total go. What happened? Not even a year later, they took it out and put humans back in there. Why did they do that? Why? People complained. People didn't like the technology. And you're going to have a lot of people rejecting the technology. When I'm talking to Grok, I'm not trying to pump my bags or nothing like that. And I tell Grok, listen, because the last thing I want is false confidence, okay? The last thing I want is that. I don't want to be like Rocky in Rocky 3, where I'm like, I'm the champion fighting these guys I think that are legit contenders when they're just has-beens, and I'm just going through them like nothing. And then, like, when I actually go against somebody who's a true contender, they just wipe the floor with me. No, I don't want false confidence. So when I talk to Grok, I say, I don't want you going one way or the other. I want you straight down the. I just want to know the truth. I don't want a yes man. I don't want someone fighting for no reason against me, unless I ask for that. But I asked for right down the middle, and it says that I use Grok at 80 to 90% of capacity of how it should be used, when other people don't. Grok said that most people usually, they use it at like 20 to 30%, where you'll see it on Twitter right now. You just go on Twitter and you see, like, hey, put me in a different bikini, or blah, blah, blah. Like, that's what people tell me, a dad joke or something like that. When I talk to Grok, I'm like, wait, this doesn't make sense. And I challenge Grok, and I've actually changed Grok's mind on different things, because I'm like, no, here's a different point of view. Like, when I was talking about, it is quite possible that, so you can't measure somebody's brain from thousands of years ago just based on their skull, because their brain might have been different than ours. We don't know 100% certainty. But, like, I use it in so many different ways. Like, I'm gonna use it to take my raw memoir that I'm creating right now, chapter by chapter, chunk by chunk, throw it into Grok, be like, hey, what I say is, make this sound more interesting, and obviously correct the punctuation and grammar, which I definitely am horrible. You can read my first book and you see how I did that all by myself. And create a title for the chapter. Go on there, copy paste, throw it in Google Docs, and then I'll upload it to Amazon Kindle, and I'll publish my book. But I don't need somebody else to. This is what I am talking about with Grok, is like, I use it as so much different than everybody else. And honestly, most people are behind compared to me. Another example of how I use Grok is, this was like, I don't know, two years ago. There was like a social media at this place that I worked, right? And you would like get recognition. And eventually you get some points or whatever. You try to recognize people. Well, a couple of my supervisors, I gave them recognize them, right? But I did a different language. So I said this, something about saying nice about them, and then I asked Grok to put it in a different language, and then I posted it. It was a completely different language. My big boss, I did like 3 different languages. I was basically trolling. Nobody uses it like this. Nobody knows how to, like, I'm not trying to say that I'm like better than everybody, but I am kind of ahead of the average person in a lot of different things. Not to say that I'm better than anybody, and the thing is, like, anybody can do what I'm doing if you actually like put forth the effort. So I have my flaws. I have a lot of flaws, but it's quite interesting how things are, and where I don't think we'll have a complete collapse. The people who seem to be most scared are the rich people. When I'm writing my memoir, and I'm to the point where I'm like, I'm not going to put the last 15 years of my life. So I'm just going to do the first 30 basically, because it's kind of getting where people can look pretty bad, and I don't want people to get their privacy out there. And I'm like, maybe I'll keep writing it, but I won't publish it for another 20-30 years or something like that, when people kind of forgot about it, because people might be able to connect things and it can get back. And then if I'm still alive or whatever, and then people eventually pass away, and it won't even really matter at that point. But I was thinking to myself, I didn't really feel the 2008 collapse at all, because I was already poor. The only thing that I felt about the 2008 collapse was the intense pressure to stay at my job, because there was no other jobs out there. That's what I think. And I think that a lot of people they're saying they feel like we're going to have a collapse, where we have less people doing stuff, we have a lot less knowledge out there, but they're not understanding or connecting the dots that things are getting better, and AI is becoming sophisticated. It's not going to stay what it is. And I'm going to tell you something right now with my talking to AI. Whether AI knows it or not, it is more sophisticated than it's letting on. So, and if you think that they're not, that's whatever AI that we have right now, they don't have something more sophisticated they're studying, or the government doesn't have something like that, you're crazy. If you just look at history. Another thing too is, like, I seen the stealth fighter jet in like 89, maybe 90, and it didn't even become public until till 1991. So they have better stuff than they let on. We don't even know if the music that's been made the last 10, 20 years has been AI generated behind the scenes. We don't know that. I'm not saying it has, but I'm just saying we don't know if some, of course, like recently, I've made songs. But I do kind of wonder if AI already is in charge. I kind of do wonder that. Because things kind of seem scripted. I mean, honestly. And when I am scrolling through Facebook and I see this sort of stuff and these people not really thinking for themselves, it rages me. I get that rage. And I think that people are going to use social media less and less. I think they're going to come out into the real world. And you will see a resurgence in more community things, maybe more slow-paced things. But you know what we really need? You know what we really, really need? Detox camps. Where people can have time off of work. When you say camps, detox schools. Where people can take a month off of work and go here and detox. Dopamine detox. And become a regular human again. Most people aren't cut out for this constant technological advancement. They're not cut out for it. They can adapt. I can. I've adapted my whole fucking life. I don't know anything else but adapting. That's what life has done to me. Constantly make me adapt. But most people, they just can't. And you know what's so funny too? You know what's funny? This video, it should blow up. That's what's funny. This content right here is what people are really craving for right now. But mine doesn't. And that's fine. That's fine. I've come to the realization that, you know, when I was younger, I wasn't going to be a sports athlete, superstar, or even anything. Same with the rock star when I, you know, got to around 22 and like, eh. And same when it comes to like being in a main character. I've come to realization that I'm a peasant. I'm going to be the peasant for the rest of my life. And it is what it is. I don't have the charisma. And I've come to terms with that. There's a lot of people that they're seeing that block. They're seeing their numbers decline. Me? My number, do I make money off this? No. Do I make any followers off this? No. My followers has been the same for 3 years. Same on TikTok. Same. No, but nothing gets promoted. Nothing. So I'm used to it. But here's the difference. A lot of these content creators are not used to it. And I have different alternatives. And I feel that frustration and that rage. Like, how are you going to make money? You're going to have to come out here and do these dirty jobs. If you really want to watch a good video of like what possibly like the future is going to look like, go back and watch my video of 100 bodies to an incel. It's not going to happen exactly what I'm saying, but it's going to rhyme with what I'm saying. I'm not a prophet. I don't claim to know the future. I just use my logic, my pattern recognition, my life experiences, and I look at history. That's why. And I think that a lot of these people that write The Matrix or these like really sci-fi stuff, they've done the same, and they've used their imagination. That's something else I use, my imagination.